trying to kill me or I'm trying to kill you. You're not.
We know awkward fighters. Real fighters know awkward fighters. He's not an awkward fighter. He's just a dumb fighter.
I think let's go in here and make this money. You know, it's more of a business tactic than anything.
Tank is not the guy that knows how to sell a fight. Tank cannot sell a fight in his own division. You have the Paul brothers and they come over to boxing. Their idea from day one is we don't have the skills or the experience. What we're going to do is we'll take on the absolute best guys, but they're going to spot us some pounds.
At the press event, Gervonta Davis raised the heat when he directly warned Jake Paul with a fierce threat. He stated clearly that he plans to end the fight in brutal fashion and remove any doubts about the result. Davis declared he is stepping in to knock Paul out and collect the payday. He showed complete belief in his strength and determination.
He's a fighter that's just started fighting. That's, you know how when somebody first come in the gym and like, yeah. When somebody first come in the gym and they've been coming for like a little minute, so they think they nice now. They ain't get all the, everything down pat, but that's how he fight. I don't think he's an awkward fighter. Awkward is somebody, I don't want to call them names, but awkward is different from him. He's not awkward. We know awkward fighters. Real fighters know awkward fighters. He's not an awkward fighter. He's just a dumb fighter.
Eddie Hearn didn't hold back when giving his view on the unusual matchup between Gervonta Davis and Jake Paul. He explained that there is a massive gap between real boxing and staged entertainment. And this fight belongs completely in the second category. To him, it's not a test of true skill, but a show created for attention. Hearn laughed at the matchup, calling it ridiculous and warning people not to mix exhibitions with elite boxing. His comments reflect concern among traditional promoters that spectacle fights are taking over the sport's real identity.
We're getting Jake Paul and Gervonta Davis. What can you tell me about that? What can you tell me about why Jake and Anthony has maybe been put to the side for now?
Yeah, they always told us that it was, we were looking at that fight for February of next year, and they always said that there was a chance that Jake would fight in November. I think, wasn't I the one that broke Jake Paul against Gervonta Davis 6 months ago or something? I knew that they'd agree that deal. I didn't know they were about to announce it then, but I did know that they'd agreed that deal previously. So I don't like it, if I'm honest. I mean, I think we need to really differentiate between boxing and an entertainment concept, and that's what that is. It's a freak show. It's entertainment. It's a lightweight fighting a cruiserweight. With, I don't know, is it bigger gloves and certain minutes per round? I don't know what it is, but, I understand the market and I understand this freak show shock kind of the world mentality of people potentially tuning in. Is that a step too far? Maybe. I mean, I hated Jake Paul against Mike Tyson, but it did massive numbers. I hate Jake Paul against Gervonta Davis. It'll probably do massive numbers. So that's when you really have to differentiate yourself between, just because you don't like it doesn't mean it isn't going to do good business. However, you want to be involved with it is another kettle of fish. I don't want to be involved with it, but I do respect the fact that it's going to do big numbers.
Ariel Helwani offered a different angle, noting that fans often enjoy strange matchups in MMA. Yet when the same happens in boxing, the reaction is mostly negative. Helwani called this an unfair double standard. He believes that even if the Davis versus Paul bout isn't classic boxing, it still has entertainment value. He stressed the fight should not be judged like championship matches but treated as a one-time show. For him, if people can accept spectacle fights in MMA, boxing fans should also enjoy this without too much criticism.
Fight at, generally, I'm sure it'll be a little bit closer, maybe 200 to 150. How much bigger can Tank get? Why would that be somewhat celebrated in MMA, but in boxing it isn't? Do you know what I mean, Pizzi? In MMA, we sort of love the freak shows, but in boxing they don't. Why do you think that is? What does that say about us in MMA?
Well, we're a sick bunch of fucks, there's no doubt about that. But I will say...
You agree, right, or no?
Yeah. The idea of the MMA freak show is everybody coming together and saying, oh, we're going to watch a freak show. This is what this is. We know what this is. It is absolutely mental, what we're going to watch here. I think... where people get annoyed with Jake is he even got me. You know what I mean? This guy is the greatest outrage farmer of all time. I saw his tweet and I was like, reading it, you know what I mean? And I was like, well, this is exactly what he fucking wants me to do. You know, like this is every time I'm doing this, he's in the game of getting eyeballs, and this is ridiculous. As long as, like, you know, why do I like an MMA freak show? Why would I watch Eddie Hall in an MMA fight against Dylan Dennis? I'd be like, this is fucking ridiculous, and I have to watch it. That's the way I feel about Jake Paul and Davis. I will watch it. It's ridiculous. You know what I mean? It's all of us getting together to go to the circus for the evening. I think the reason why there's pushback against it when Jake does it is because Jake, and obviously tactfully, is going like, what are you talking about? This guy's a world champion. I took out Mike Tyson. He's a world champion. And then I'm going to take out Canelo and stuff like this. Like he's winding us up. He's not agreeing to the stipulation that we're all agreeing on, which is this is a freak show. This is absolutely mental. As long as we can agree with that, we can all enjoy it collectively.
Chael Sonnen was more harsh, dismissing Jake Paul's skills as a boxer. He argued that the Paul brothers don't rely on real talent, but instead use their fame and wealth to land big-name fights. Sonnen pointed out Jake's habit of picking opponents who are famous or respected but don't match evenly in skill. According to him, these fights aren't about fairness but about money and spotlight. Sonnen's strong criticism echoed what many feel, that this event is more about profit than a real boxing contest.
Not the guy that knows how to sell a fight. Tank cannot sell a fight in his own division. You have the Paul brothers and they come over to boxing. Their idea from day one is we don't have the skills or the experience. What we're going to do is we'll take on the absolute best guys, but they're going to spot us some pounds. Hank has one job to do, that it doesn't make any difference, that boxing is a real sport. My skills versus your skill, of which I am an abundance of and of which you have none of. Hank is telling anybody that will listen that there's a size problem. My skills and my experience in boxing, I do not have to wonder who's in the bar tonight. Any bar I go to, I rule the bar. No, it turns out that you don't. Just need some big guy to corner you. Apparently, boxing has never stood its ground. Boxing has never been able to explain why Floyd needed a half hour to get rid of a guy who's never boxed before. Hank Davis has already began this. When you choose a dum-dum, don't be surprised when he goes out and acts like a dum-dum.
Ryan Garcia compared this fight to past odd matchups in boxing, like when Mike Tyson did exhibitions that fans didn't truly ask for. Garcia admitted the public doesn't want Davis versus Paul either, but said boxing often forces such events anyway. He stressed that Davis is far smaller than Paul, making the fight unfair from the start. Garcia's take was that even though people dislike the idea, they will end up accepting it because of the hype and money driving it forward.
He should beat Jake Paul, shouldn't he?
No, he shouldn't.
You don't think? Sorry, so I thought we were all unanimous here. Do you think that
shouldn't.
You think Jake Paul beat Gervonta Davis?
70 pounds is 70 pounds.
Gervonta Davis is very small. 5'5".
He's tiny, bro. That's what I'm saying.
Jake Paul,
he's a little man.
If Jake Paul's tucking up
move on
and absorbing punishment for walking forward, then look, there's a way to run it.
Jake Paul continued teasing Davis with one of his trademark stunts. In a video, Paul smashed a cake designed to look like Davis as a way of mocking him. The act was meant to insult and provoke Davis while also creating online buzz. Paul has always been skilled at promotion, and this prank achieved its goal by making headlines and fueling the rivalry. The destruction of the tank-shaped cake reminded everyone that Paul relies on mind games and theatrics as much as the actual fight.
Bro, that's a fucking disgrace of a fight.
Yeah.
You know it. Just like the Mike Tyson, low-key was a disgrace, but we accepted it, but
Yeah.
he was 60 years old. I mean,
Right.
the casuals don't see the weight difference. They see Jake Paul and Gervonta Davis.
Yeah.
And if Gervonta Davis doesn't fuck up Jake Paul, they're going to think Jake Paul is some pound-for-pound champion type of fight.
Yeah.
Gervonta Davis, he's actually really small. Like, when I fought him, he's small.
Yeah.
So I just think it's a very unfair fight.
Seeing Davis step into the ring against someone Jake Paul's size will feel unreal. The size gap is nearly laughable, but Davis holds clear edges in technique, speed, and defense. His movement lets him slip around the ring and dodge heavy punches. While Paul will try to use his reach and size, hitting a smaller, quick target like Davis may be tough. Davis's counterpunching and defense could open chances, despite the difference in weight and height. The interest comes from this clash of skill versus size. Seeing Davis step into the ring against someone Jake Paul's size will feel unreal. The size gap is nearly laughable, but Davis holds clear edges in technique, speed, and defense. His movement lets him slip around the ring and dodge heavy punches. While Paul will try to use his reach and size, hitting a smaller, quick target like Davis may be tough. Davis's counterpunching and defense could open chances, despite the difference in weight and height. The interest comes from this clash of skill versus size.
So crazy. Why is Gervonta Davis fighting a guy that big? There is some interest to that because you're not going to see Gervonta Davis. You're going to be able to see Gervonta Davis's feet. That's what I'm going to be interested to see because I don't think Gervonta is going to jump out there and try to run up into Jake Paul and try to knock Jake Paul out. What I think Gervonta is going to do is Gervonta is going to move his feet, just going to move, make Jake Paul miss a lot, make Jake Paul look really dumb just by using defense on him and making him swing at the wind, because that is going to be very tough for him to hit a guy that is that little. If you play basketball, for example, and you are a tall 6'1" guy and you try to stand in front of some 5'8", real quick 5'8" guy, trust me, their first steps are going up out of there, those little teeny weeny dudes. So that's going to be very fun and interesting to watch how that goes down. Now, on the other side, what Jake Paul's going to do. He don't have no consciousness. He doesn't have a conscience about what he's trying to do. He's going to go in there, try to hurt a 60-year-old Mike Tyson. He don't care. He wanted to, he's way bigger than Nate Jones when he fought Nate Jones. You think he didn't care about hitting Nate Jones upside the head? He's definitely going to be looking to try to get as much as he can get off on Gervonta Davis and I see him trying to run up on him, trying to maul him, trying to grab him, trying to club him, trying to do all kind of craziness, man. And it's going to be interesting. It's going to be an interesting thing to watch. Now, let me tell you what I really hope, and I haven't seen for this particular card, but I know that I know it's going to be good, which is the undercard. The undercard for the Canelo Alvarez fight and Terrence Crawford fight is absolutely horrendous. There's nothing on the thing that would make you want to watch to tune into that thing.
Even Terrence Crawford, one of the sport's best pound-for-pound fighters, dismissed the Davis versus Paul idea. Crawford questioned how promoters could allow a 195-pound fighter to face someone from 135 pounds. To him, this isn't a real contest, but simply a business deal. His reaction reflected the doubts of many professionals who see it as spectacle, not sport. Crawford's comments underline the split between authentic boxing competition and money-driven events.
Ferocious. This is speed and power and explosiveness combined. They couldn't keep up with it.
Wanted to get your take on the Jake Paul versus Tank Davis. They just announced the fight. What's your instant reaction to that?
I don't have no reaction. I don't know what's going to happen with a 135-pounder going up against a 200-pounder. If it's scripted, then it's going to be good for the fans to watch.
What do you mean by scripted? Like rigged?
Yeah, like scripted.
But none of those guys want a fucking L, right?
I think it's not a real fight. I think it's because it can't be a real fight because they ain't in the same weight. So it'd be more like an exhibition.
I think it is an exhibition, but do you think they're but not one person saying yo, I'm going to fucking throw the match? You think?
I don't think.
Or you never know?
Yeah, I think they're going to go in there and spar. I don't think it's going to be you trying to kill me or I'm trying to kill you. I think it's let's go in here and make this money. It's more of a business tactic than anything.
Because that's what Jake and Mike kind of did.
Yeah, for sure.
Everyone bought into that. And then when you watched it, it was just bro, this sucks. I'm friends with Jake. I like him too, but that fight, I didn't like that one.
Jake too big for Tank, In reality, he's way too big for Tank. Tank is very talented, punch hard, explosive.
Experts have debated whether Davis's punches will even affect Jake Paul. In boxing, power often decides fights. But against such a much larger opponent, Davis's shots may not carry the same effect. The concern is Paul's body size could absorb the hits, making Davis's task harder than normal. At the same time, if Paul lands clean with his weight advantage, the damage to Davis could be huge. This uncertainty raises doubts about whether the fight should even happen under these conditions.
I am interested to see, will it look similar to this or will it be even more definitive in favor of Tank, like some people are suggesting. And with it being 10 rounds, like Jake Paul did start to gas at the end of his last fight. Like if that happens, maybe Tank could look at that and go, right, I'm going to work the body early. And when you do start fading, then I'm going to fucking really put the pressure on you. And it's one thing Julio says or Chavez, you know, in front of you, you know, who's trying a little bit in the last 2 rounds. But Tank, even as small as he is, it will be a lot harder to keep him off. And what will Tank's power be like as a 135er? Like he's probably going to be about 150 when he gets in there, maybe. Will those punches on the big fat dome of Jake Paul actually really hurt? Because power can translate up a couple of divisions, but like that's a lot of divisions. What if Jake just takes them? No problem. I'm not saying he will. I'm just saying it would be fucking weird. This really is size versus skill in its purest form. And that is why I've got to admit I'm fascinated to see it. To be honest, I'm a little disappointed as well because I wanted to see Tank versus Roach after they went to a draw in their last fight. A very controversial draw. I think Tank should have fucking lost it, to be honest. Tank doesn't give a shit about legacy and belts. He doesn't give 2 shits about that. He just wants money. And unfortunately, it's going to really hinder his legacy. His legacy will just be, yeah, he had a good run. But he's never going to be up there with the greats, despite his talent. That being said, if he chins Jake Paul, it won't really matter because everyone will fucking love him, won't they? And ironically, I said Tank should be fighting Roach, but Jake Paul clearly now should be fighting Darren Till. This was Darren's fight the other night against Luke Rockhold, former UFC middleweight champion. Dropped him. Hard to watch. There was just a massive gap in ability there. Like Rockhold being like a very well-rounded fighter in MMA, but Till just such a specialist in stand-up, and it showed. And this knockout was fucking brutal. Oh god, it was a terrible one. I mean, his leg was bent back and